Good morning, Last City! Stanley here with you, and we have another week ahead of us in the hamster wheel of loot, bounties, and sadness. Every new week here brings hundreds of hours of grind, but you'll be lucky if half that gear survives the meta. Now, on to the news. Are you nostalgic for an 8-year-old strike with a thin reskin? Then the Disgraced Nightfall is for you, Guardian. Resurrected for the third time in Destiny's history, mow down the Fallen and Hive to slay Navoda for Militia's Birthright, otherwise known as the GL you used to grind Mountaintop years ago and then vaulted immediately. So mind those unstoppable ogre I-beams, they'll blow you away faster than Doja Cat's birthday photo, and bring Arbalest because it's the only anti-barrier worth using. Meanwhile, for Guardians hoping to enjoy non-skill-based matchmaking, I'm sorry to inform you, Team Scorch steals Deathmatch's spot this week. Throw away your hard-earned god rolls, long-grinded raid exotics, and silly supers for Scorch cannons. At least it makes the 3 Crucible matches needed for a pinnacle less painful. Right? Guardians who need a break from the insanity of PvP, plunge into the pit of Hershey Kisses to soothe your bruised ego with the blood of hundreds of Hive for this week's Dungeon Pinnacle. When will they learn to not charge the space wizards with explodey guns? Clearly not today, so grab that sword and spank that Hive booty. Now, did you reach the end of Last Wish and think to yourself the best part of this encounter is memorizing symbols? No? Well, screw you, the Vow of the Disciple returns to the Pinnacle slot. Aesthetically, it's one of the coolest raids to grace Destiny, but tall, skinny Kiki Man is hardly an intimidating boss. That worm trapped in a permanent Ahegao would have been a far more exhilarating finale. That said, the weapons are some of the best looking in the game. Insidious, the pulse that missed its meta by a couple years. Submission, a truly strong SMG. Deliverance, a fusion with the potential to rival main ingredient, but sadly falls short of Adept Plug 1. Cataclysmic, a linear that lives up to its name and boss dips. Forbearance, it exists. Lubre's Ruin also exists. And the exotic Raid Pulse, collective obligation that spreads void debuffs like the herp. While in the primary raid, Kingsfall, the Grass is Greener challenge is active this week. Fair warning, Guardians that struggle with their lefts and rights won't have a fun time. Basically, Guardians must alternate from Taken and Hive rooms, as they cannot make consecutive brand trips from the same side. Sure, it sounds simple, but we all know that one fire team member who's raid mechanically challenged. Next up, let's check in at the tower, but before we do, a word from our sponsor, Trojan Man! Do you want to feel like a Titan bubble protects your glaive? Winky face eggplant emoji. Then the new Ward condoms are for you, complete with RGB, because as we all know, RGB gives you more thrusts per second. Hashtag ad. Now on to the tower. It still isn't fixed, but it's no longer smoking, so that's progress. Not smoking. Finally. There's still a crap ton of holes in the wall. You think Tess would, throw some of that cash over there that helped expedite her shop's repair? It's fucked up, Tess. Fucked up. At the very least, Banshee can always be counted on to not repeat last week's content. We have the Hawkeye Scout Rifle Perseus D with its breach ornaments, which, again, never seems to be useful at all. Explosive payload. Pretty good for PvE. Perpetual motion. Pretty decent. Steady rounds. Decent enough. Extended mag could be more useful in PvE. It's a decent choice if you're lacking a scout. For whatever you need a scout this season, I cannot recall. Though you probably have a better one. He also has the NOD, better known as Antiope, with a different name and Worse perks. We have Vorpal increases damage against bosses, guardians, and their super. Which, again, not a terrible choice. Tunnel Vision, could be decent. Steady around, you might have a decent PvP SMG. However, it's a 600 RPM, and I'm pretty sure you have way better 600 RPM options. We also have the Snorai FR5, a precision frame fusion from Amalon that has Reservoir Burst, one of the most sought after and coolest perks in the game on certain fusions. Surplus increases handling, reload, and stability for each fully charged ability, which again could be pretty useful on this. Enhanced battery or a projection fuse. Hammer Fort, you know what? This is actually a pretty decent fusion for probably both PvE and PvP. It's decent. It's probably the best weapon he has this week. Unless Funnel Web can take... No. Funnel Web can't dethrone it. Fusions this week's winner! We have Thresh, Perpetual Motion, Steady Rounds. I mean, if you don't have a god roll, this... it'll do, probably. Small bore, you're just maxing out your stability. But you can do better. You deserve better. And I'm convinced this rocket never changes. It's always here. Stop trying to push the Hawkeye rocket. It's not going to happen. We got Frenzy on a rocket, which, I guess, ensemble, I mean, it's nothing mind-blowing. There are better rockets. You could probably even craft a better rocket. We also have the Typhon. It really sounds like it should be Typhoon, but it's a Typhon GL5, which has Adrenaline Junkie. This weapon gains increased damage and handling from final blows with grenades, or this weapon. Stats for all, Augmented Drum for a mag size, but giant decreased reload, or we can go with mini frags. But their blast radius goes down. I mean, I don't really know. GLs just, you don't see them a whole lot anymore. And this probably isn't going to win you back. On the pay-to-win side, we have a new shader available, Reanimated Verve. It looks like something. It looks like something. Probably not something you want, but hey, may as well get it. Murder Crows have a cool crowy entrance. A weird wizard hat on your ghost. He just looks like he's gonna curse your RNG from now until eternity. An emote that illustrates perfectly who stole your RNG. We all know there's that one guy in the raid who always gets the raid weapon while you've been grinding for it. As for your weekly rotator, we have the Howling Projection for those who want to get their Lord Saladin on. Remember that grenade launcher that shoots worms at people that you probably forgot you had or even bothered to get? Well, it has a cool looking ornament, but it's still a crappy grenade launcher. Spider Mask for those who want to get their Fallen on. A weird bat-shaped ship. The 8-Ball Ghost, which is apparently what they were going for. Meditating peacefully with purple flaming dildos. And for those who wish to scare their RNG into actually being good, you have the Boo emote. And with that, that's all the news we have to cover of this week in Destiny. From all of us at Tower News, thank you so much for watching and have an amazing week.